Hey everybody, it's Glenn. Now no doubt you've watched my reviews of the new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Infinite Series figures. Well, those have left me with the Hobgoblin bath parts those came with, so time to build him and take a closer look. Yet this ain't no ordinary action figure review, it's a comparison with Toy Biz's Spider-Man Classics Hobgoblin from 2006. Here they are, both going toe to toe and nose to nose, so you guys know the routine. I'm gonna compare sculpt, deco, articulation and accessories. And at the end of the video, you guys declare a victor in the comments below. So in the comics, over the years, several characters have taken up the mantle of the Hobgoblin. So here we have two figures sharing the same alias, but are in fact, under their respective masks and hoods, different characters. Hobgoblin was originally created to fill the void in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery left by the demise of the Green Goblin. So to that end, I can understand those who consider him to be a knockoff or second-rate version of that character. But for me, I prefer the Hobgoblin, and I like to think that's not just down to him being front and center in the Spider-Man comics when I grew up. Instead, I owe my opinion to the strength of the character design that acts as a homage to the Green Goblin, keeping elements of medieval fantasy, a sharing of design reflected in this very figure also being reused for the Marvel Legends Onslaught series Green Goblin. But for me, the additions of a hood and cape and changing color combination infuses a more sinister tone to the character. And that's down to the legendary comic artists, the Romitas, John Jr. on pencils and John Sr. on inks. Their vision is translated from comic page to action figure really well via this sculpt by the Four Horsemen, who are within their field legends to me in their own right. Hasbro's new Build-A-Figure Hobgoblin is also a faithful representation of the comic art. This time around it's Humberto Ramos's character design from the pages of the much more recent Superior Spider-Man. Now here it's much more stylized and some might say cartoony, taking the medieval fantasy element inherent with the alias and pushing the dial from the Marvel Universe setting to the World of Warcraft setting. So side by side you get a real clash of styles with the two seemingly not existing in the same universe. Toy Biz's has a real worldliness about it, whereas Hasbro's bath is likely more divisive. If you like Ramos's art, it'll float your boat. If you don't, it may just sink it. Now don't get me wrong, I do appreciate some of the sculpting on the bath, such as the head sculpt and its faithfulness to the art that inspired it, yet some of the sculpting is making me scratch my head. The torso, for instance, I don't understand if this is supposed to be muscularity or the draping of the fabric tunic. It may have stumped whoever sculpted this too, as opposed to having 6-pack abs, it looks like it has 24-pack abs. But then I made my Superior Venom custom based on Humberto Ramos's art, so know just how hard it is to translate from 2D, the fluid changing from panel to panel style of it. Now looking at accessories, and Toy Biz's Hobgoblin comes with his Goblin glider. It has a nice metallic finish, a plume of smoke from the exhaust, and a wheeled base disguised as a cloud of smoke for it to sit on. He also comes with his man bag, which I've always assumed is where he stores his pumpkin bombs, in which case it must be bigger on the inside like the TARDIS, because not many a pumpkin bomb is going to fit in there. The bag is nicely observed with the paint highlighting the Goblin insignia. I'd say the bag is an accessory as it's removable from the figure, unlike that is the pumpkin bomb which is glued into the figure's hand. Great if you want to pose him poised to launch it, but not so good otherwise. The bath also comes with a pumpkin bomb, yet here it's a separate flaming accessory. It's made from a translucent yellow plastic. Look close and you can make out the signature jack-o'-lantern style sinister smile the bombs are styled with. My instinct says a loose bomb accessory is better. Until that is shooting this video, I dropped it and spent 20 minutes on my hands and knees looking for it. And I can see many of these ending up inside a vacuum cleaner or the dog. It seems the figure's right hand is sculpted to cradle the bomb, but it is just resting on the hand there, which leaves his left hand to hold his more significant accessory, the flame sword, which looks great. I love the way the translucent yellow gives way to red. The sword's hilt is replicated on the back of the figure on a smaller scale. Not sure if this is supposed to be this sword secured away or a second smaller one, but be warned, it feels extremely delicate, and I can see without careful handling it's snapping off real easy. Hasbro's Hobgoblin is gliderless as he flies by virtue of the wings on the back of the costume. To me they seem less out of the pages of Superior Spider-Man and more out of the pages of Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook. To strap it on you'd need to be a real daredevil. But tish. Now looking at articulation, and the heads of each are somewhat inhibited by their hoods, so they do rotate and look down this much and then look up, although I find the Baff's head often pops off when you articulate it. At the shoulder, the arms move up, the Toy Biz one much more. They have rotation at the shoulder, there's upper arm rotation, both have double jointed elbows. Toy Biz's rotates at the top of the glove, whereas the Baff rotates at the wrist. Plus the Toy Biz one does have finger articulation, yet having the pumpkin bomb glued into his left hand inhibits that finger articulation, but on his right hand it does articulate. They have ab crunches which move slightly forward and then back, more so on the Baff. Both have waist rotation. The legs of each move out to the side. The Toy Biz one much more, whereas the Baff is inhibited by the skirt. Both have upper leg rotation and double jointed knees. The Toy Biz one rotates at the top of the boot, but Toy Biz figure does have toe articulation. Then both have hinged ankles moving backwards and forwards, and both have an ankle pivot. And here, with both of them standing at their widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor, you can see that the Baff isn't able to take advantage of that ankle rocker, again due to the skirt inhibiting the movement of the legs out. So all things considered, if you could only save one figure and leave the other to the swing of a flame sword, which would it be? Me personally, I'd have to go with the Toy Biz one. It's a representation of the character that in the 20 plus years since it debuted we still consider classic. Plus it's from a line that was more targeted at kids, yet it isn't compromised by goofy play features and can hold its head high among Marvel legends. I guess only time will tell, but I'm not sure 20 years from now we'll consider the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure as a classic representation. I'm sure for fans of Umberto Ramos it's a huge tick, and in an era of heavy recycling of parts, I do admire the distinct style of it, and probably there lies the problem. Lined up with the figures from this series and stylistically, it just stands out too much. Ultimately, when it comes to Build-A-Figures, I need a bigger rewarding feeling for collecting the entire wave than I get from this one. Click the video on the right for my previous action figure comparison featuring Sentry. I sure would appreciate it if you could give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.